Should be working now. And it should. So it means that our practice is not really to think about our thoughts or think about ourselves and try to figure things out, or to think about our emotions and figure them out. Um, but instead, no matter what kind of emotion you feel, look into that emotion and it tracelessly subsides. The disturbing emotion is thus naturally freed, and this is simple to practice. This is not complicated to practice. If something is overly complicated, it's probably going to be very difficult to put into practice. So don't make your spiritual path complicated. Thinking about not thinking is just as simple as not thinking. But if you're thinking, then help it out. Think about not thinking. Well, you resolve that and you fix that by learning to not rationalize experiences. so that every experience or every thought, every color, every sound happens according to cause and effect. It doesn't happen according to shapes or forms or wishes or desires or purpose or intention or someone or some situation. It doesn't happen because of any story elements. Everything is expressing itself naturally because of cause and effect only. And this is a beginningless and an endless cause and effect. So, trying to rationalize or understand your mind through thoughts or through the intellect is just as practical as trying to figure out where that cloud came from and trying to figure out where that cloud will go to. But in the path, in the midst of going along with the spiritual practice, you're looking deeper into the mind, so more interesting phenomena or experiences of the mind may come up, right? So if you're just relying on yourself, that can be very confusing. You don't want to just be relying on your own self or your own ego. You want to be taking refuge and being in relationship with uh, the wisdom, the guidance, the teachings, the reflections, the sharing, the direct pointing of the Dharma master, of the meditation masters, or you can say a well-known advisor or a friend on the spiritual path. And you can basically determine if someone is a well-known advisor or a friend on the spiritual path by how you the effect of your digesting those teachings, and you learn from that, and you should be growing from that. If it really is a well-known advisor, if it really is a true spiritual teacher, then you should be growing and developing naturally by taking refuge in those teachings and putting those teachings into practice. And then you don't have to rely so much more on that particular teacher, but it gives you a platform to explore the path more realistically and more self-empowered. So you're developing a deeper capacity to see clearly and to understand what works and what doesn't. But you can't use the ego or you can't use the intellect to determine that. It's more like knowing what you can eat and what you can't eat by actually eating something and seeing how that affects your body and affects your mind. Um, well, you don't have to stop yourself from throwing up, crying, or bodily responses. It actually creates a powerful sense of anxiety or worry or stress when we try to control our bodily responses. So sometimes we may feel a sense of panic, a sense of anxiety, a sense of worry, and then because we're not willing to, as Guru Padmasambhava is saying here, um, we're not willing to look into that emotion, right? So you have to be willing to be open to that emotion and that experience, even though you're determining that it's bad or dangerous or unwanted. You just have to look into it. You have to be willing to look into that feeling specifically and directly in the here and now. And when you practice in this way, your meditation training or your spiritual path is not confined to sessions or periods of time. When you know that everything is a helper, your meditation experience is unchanging and continuous. The innate nature is unceasing, and your conduct is then unshackled. Wherever you stay, you are never apart from your innate nature. So that the painful experiences, the neutral experiences, and the pleasurable or pleasant experiences are never apart from your own nature. They're just like signposts or reminders for you to look into what you're experiencing directly in the here and now. Why doesn't really get us anywhere. Why is endless. If we ask how, it's a little bit better. But like, how does a tree grow? We can give an answer to that. We can scientifically examine and explore and investigate, how did that happen? But that's also limited. But when we ask why, we think that there is a reason behind everything, that there's a particular reason, but everything is actually an expression of cause and effect. So the reason for trees growing, like why do trees grow, is just cause and effect. And it's cause and effect in a way that our intellect or our conceptual mind, our thinking mind, cannot reach. Just like how your thinking mind can't reach your bones, or your thinking mind can't reach your eyes and the capacity for the eyes to see. The simplest way that I will look at it is bad karma is created in terms of now, not in looking at our past and trying to determine, why everything happened a certain way. But bad karma is cultivated or developed now because we betray our own heart, because we betray our own innate nature, because we try to avoid what's here and now, or we try to get something that's outside of what is already. And it's just not possible to do that. So we're kind of wasting our energy and getting ourselves in another trap of seeking, another trap of desire. Hi, Antoinette. Uh, if you like to make a donation, that's certainly okay. I'd very much appreciate that. Thank you. That's right. That's a very good realization is that the I or the self or our ego, we kind of like these traps because we're attached to pleasure. We're seeking, right? The ego likes to seek. The ego likes to get a result. What is my Cash App? Um, so my Cash App is monklife93, and I would think that this is my QR code for Cash App. It's inverted. Well, it's okay. Um, maybe someone can type it out because I can't type because I'm doing the live stream. It's just Monk Life 93. MONKLIFE 93. Yeah, MONKLIFE 93. Um, not why, I. No why, just I. Um, is it worth exploring things like past lives or mystical experiences, or is this purely the ego wanting something? I think you have the answer yourself, right? It kind of is the ego wanting something, and we might get what we want, and there's going to be an aspect of ourselves that is like the self, the ego, the idea of ourselves that is based in getting what we want and avoiding what we don't want. So, the purpose of Buddhism or the purpose of working to end suffering is not about trying to get anything. It's a practice of releasing and letting go of getting, chasing, seeking, avoiding, etc. And so, if our practice, for example, is to seek out these mystical experiences or to understand about our past lives, then that practice is outside of ourselves. It's outside of our nature. It's outside of what is already here and now. So it's very difficult, impossible to practice what is not already here. So the practice is learning how to be with what is already here. It's possible to do all kinds of things, and then even if we get those mystical experiences, or even if we understand some aspect of our past lives, yeah, there's this constant want for more, 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 and we're trying to put a stop to that. So we can be open to accepting, we can be open to giving and receiving, we can be open to sharing and listening, we can be opening all the time with anything and everything. The real core of the practice and the path is to here, no matter what kind of disturbing emotion you feel, look into the emotion and it tracelessly subsides. So seeing that traceless subsiding, seeing that traceless ending. And then the disturbing emotion is thus naturally freed. So it's not like you freed that emotion, but it just ends, it just releases. And this is simple to practice. And it's much more simple to practice than a seeking for a special experience outside of what is already. And the Buddha teaching is that you can't do that anyway. You can't go and get something outside of what is already here. And mostly we have to accept we don't know. It's not about getting the answers to everything. It's more about having a question that can lead you to a deep answer that's relevant for all aspects of your life, and especially all aspects of your life in the here and now. So, a question that can actually help you to break out of the conceptual framework that you're binded in, that you're trapped in, that you're fixated on. Yeah, you can call it you want to know, you want to eat, you want to see, you want to hear, you want to feel, you want to experience, you want to understand. But really the main point here is in the wanting. So if we can stop the wanting, we can be at peace right here where we are. And then that peace can be offered, can be shared, can be transmitted to all of those afflictive emotions and also the world that we encounter. Getting what you want is suffering because whatever you get will be lost because everything is impermanent. That's the wisdom in non-seeking. That's the wisdom in non-action. It's important to understand this. And understanding here means to have enough faith to then practice that and see the results. What is it like when you're chasing and struggling and searching and seeking? It's stressful, it's tiring, it's worrying, it's exhausting. What is it like when you stop seeking? Life opens up and peace is accessible. So one of the things that we can start to do in our daily lives is actually learning how to use the power of the nature. So using the power of the trees, or using the power of the wind, or using the power of the sounds of the birds, or even the power of the feeling of gravity, using the power of the temperature, using the power of a natural sunlight. And this is much more reliable even than using the air conditioning or using our conceptual framework that we're always getting tangled in for what's going on and who we are and who other people are, or how does covalent bonds work. Really, we don't know. And this place is a place to get comfortable with not knowing. There's no you to end anything, nor is there a you or a self to get what you want. So even if you aren't taking this path seriously, this is the way that it is. This is the way that the nature is. There's not any separation between you and everything else. There's no separation between a tree and the soil and the sun and the rain and everything. So even if you aren't taking the path seriously, if you're staying connected with those who are, it will be very beneficial, because the surface level appearances of how we act and how we react to each other and how we think about each other are basically the movement of the water on top of the ocean. But the ocean is very, very deep. Your mind and your experience of reality in every moment is deeper than you can imagine. It's like try to dream up the whole world or try to dream up everything that's being experienced right now. That's uncomprehendable power, and yet you find yourself in that experience. You find yourself in that, you know, dream. And was it you that made all of this? Are you God? Are you the creator? Are you the controller? No. And so when we make the declaration of everything is just like this, or consciousness is just like this, or there's no separation, that's a pointer. It's not something that you take on for yourself, like I have realized no self, or I have realized the way that things actually are. That's not the point. That's not going to help. It's like drinking coffee and telling everyone, hey, I'm drinking coffee. Well, you can do that, but that's not drinking coffee. That's not the taste of coffee. That's not the experience of coffee. And it barely even begins to touch or to bring up the depth of all the cause and effect of everything that went into you being able to have that coffee in this moment and the experience of that. So our experience of life, moment by moment, regardless of how we think of it, is totally beyond our thoughts about it already and immediately and continuously. We have responsibilities. Like today, I had an appointment very early this morning, interviewing for going to practice at a Zen monastery in America, and then waking up. I had some laundry to do, and I wanted to get a cup of coffee. But all of that, if if I don't have this moment or this space to just be, to just see, to just hear, to just experience life as it is, then all of that is just a never-ending trap, a game that I can't escape from. So whatever activities I do, it's to facilitate my own experience of peaceful freedom where I already am. So some people think that, appear to think that I do these live streams to make money, or maybe it's for my ego, so I can be in a teacher position, or like I'm trying to create a following on YouTube or whatever. Uh, but actually, in terms of what I want to offer others, is this space to experience peaceful freedom and to give the pointer that we don't need to seek to get what we really want, which is peace, regardless of where we happen to be. It's not about showing me respect in the same way that it's not about showing me disrespect or seeing me in a neutral way. It's not about how we think about what we see or how we think about what we hear or how we think about what we experience. It's just experiencing that without thinking about it, without adding thoughts onto our direct experience. Because those thoughts are like chains that bind us. Pursuing mathematics, I mean, there's all kinds of things that we can do that we can pursue and that maybe we want to develop. My advice is just to do that not just for yourself but for everyone. Plant the seed of whatever I'm doing now is for everyone. And we're kind of we're kind of in this trap with social media and the modern image focused culture, beauty focused culture, or appearance focused culture, where we always think that someone wants to convince us of something, like um, wants to build up our someone wants to build up their personal identity based on how they appear to others, and that can be true a lot of the times, but it also cannot be true, and it doesn't allow us to be open and flexible and curious to meeting each other or meeting reality where it is, where we already are. So that there doesn't have to be some scheme in our direct experience. We have an ability to stop scheming. You have an ability to stop scheming. I have an ability to stop scheming. Doesn't mean that I don't like to feel pleasure and that I do like to feel pain, or that I like for people to be mean to me and I don't like for people to be nice to me. Doesn't mean anything like that. But it means that we have a capacity to see that and to step back from that and be free from that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that is what this is all about. So in the future, I do hope to offer more, but this is what I offer now. And in the past, I've also offered more, um, in terms of community spaces and different resources. Uh, but if we can't say this is enough, if we can't appreciate what we already have right here, then it doesn't matter what we get. We'll just want more. We'll just be in this constant state of seeking for more special experience and not being able to see through the surface level appearance to our own hearts or to the hearts of others, which are ultimately empty. The nature of the cloud is ultimately empty. The nature of the tree is ultimately empty. Or you can also say it in terms of interbeing. So I am who I am right now because you are who you are right now. And that I can't say that I'm all good, just like someone can't say that that person is all bad. You can say that they just are. This coffee shop here, for example, and Taiwan in general, very fashion focused. Many people fashion, and many people, uh, they appreciate the as we all do, the way that things look and the way that things appear. And there are better or worse appearances in terms of what we like and dislike. But in terms of seeing through appearances, any appearance is a helper and a reminder for that. Whether it's a hat or a microphone or the color of a shirt or, the way that someone smiles or what have you. Um, I probably see myself becoming a monk again, um, but mostly I see myself as just being where I am and letting go of that self. Well, there's things that we want to pursue or develop, and for all of that, it should be we should have that seed of doing for all, right? That this I will do this and I will offer the benefit of this for all. But when it comes to sports, take competition out of the mindset. Competition is a poison. Competition is a form of like controlled war or regulated violence, basically. So take sports as play, and play is where you can completely let down your barriers, your intentions, your aspirations, your complicated thinking, and just play. Just be in the moment, right? Just be in the flow. And this is also a space to learn to let go of what you think. This is like a space for meditation. So I often tell you, in this context, it even though you may share something that you think and that it may be more or less true or right or appropriate or helpful or unhelpful, see through the importance that you give to what you think. See through the importance of holding opinions and holding ideas. This is very clear, very direct teaching, but a lot of people think that it's talking about something else, like something else is trying to be said here. Nothing else is trying to be said here. As much as you are physically and mentally and spiritually able, whatever opinion you have, don't hold on to it now. So that you can enter into a natural state of meditation that's not about thoughts or opinions or perspectives about things. It's like thinking that children are to be competed with. Replace competition with generosity, and you have a correct approach to life. Mutual cooperation. The drive to compete is the drive to win, is the drive to protect and develop the sense of self. This is poison. The drive and the interest to help, to serve, to be generous is what makes human beings human beings. Learn how to not compete with others. That's a big teaching here, big direction here. Teamwork. Cooperation, communication, sharing, caring, offering protection. So the wisdom here is seeing that generosity is more important than winning, and that helping others and helping children and helping to meet the basic needs of others is more important than sports or competition-based sports. Sports as a form of play can be wonderful and fantastic, but sports as a form of competition can be very dangerous. And I mean, you can see that in America where so many, um, so many men, basically only men, and this is also another element of like the importance of sports and competition. All these men are worshipped not because they're kind, not because they're compassionate, not because they're generous, not because they're wise, not because they help others, not because they serve, but because they fight. And this is like a animalistic tendency going back to our great ape roots. So traditionally in the monkey kingdom, the man who is strong and can fight with the other men and intimidate them and even kill them, they will be in control of the women and the children and the you know and the other men. So this isn't really something to put on a high pedestal. Doesn't mean we need to fight against competition. It's just a natural recognition that competing with each other is significantly less important than helping each other. Now, if you get into the logistics of it, you could say that in a society or in a world that is dealing with scarcity, that competition is necessary because we have to compete with the environment, we have to compete with each other just to survive. But this is a post scarcity world. And because competition is so highly valued, because war is seen as legitimate and efficient, that means and also like personal wealth development over generosity is seen as so honorable. We have way more food and housing and resources than the every human being in the world needs, but yet all kinds of children are starving. All kinds of communities don't have access to even the basic necessities of clean water and basic housing. And then the dark expression or the dark example of this validity given to competition is Palestine and Gaza. And some things are black and white in terms of our human experience. So if you can't understand that it's more important to help each other than it is to fight with each other, then you need to go and look at yourself and receive support. You need help, you need support. We all need support. And basically none of us need someone to come and fight us, right? Yeah, like for me when I do these I do these live streams, and sometimes it's a variety hour, sometimes it's a meditation teaching, sometimes it's a book reading or what have you, answering questions. Uh, I don't need to have a perfect story about myself and why I'm doing this and what this is to see for myself that this puts me beyond my ego, because this is not just about me. And anything that we do, we can try to practice that way, that it's not just about me. I'm not practicing meditation just for me. I'm not working just for me. I'm not studying just for me. I'm not living a good life or an ethical life just for me. And the ego can be very tricky. So the ego always brings it back to like this separated self story where everything positive is about me, everything negative is about me, everything neutral or boring is about this idea of me, this idea of a self. And that's exhausting and not necessary. And as human beings who happen to be alive, like this precious human body and precious human life that we have, we're missing out on the joy of life if we're only doing for ourselves, or we're only doing by ourselves. Don't rely on your explanations, rely on your actions. You can't explain away suffering. You can't explain away or explain to create joy inside yourself. So you will know for yourself how closely you are aligning with your own interests, your own heart, your own intentions, and your own path. and the trees will also know. We're often ordering things like that, and then we feel we're locked into attachment and consumption. We don't know so much about mindfulness and detachment. So then, we choose to eat that crappy sandwich when actually you don't have to eat it. Um, you can use it as your helper, as your teacher, as your reminder. Let go. Monk life can be very solitary. It can be very community oriented as well. And even though it may not work out the way we want to, it's still good if we try to help, especially in a direct way. Um, so there's a positive and negative side to trying to work with the ego, because the ego is idealistic. The ego has desire, and it feels like it can meet that desire, but of course it never can. So, in the midst of us working with our ego, don't hold on to idealism and just try to help and just try to do what's good and try to practice mindfulness and detachment so you can see clearly the cause and effect as far as you can see it. The deeper you go into the higher virtue, the higher wisdom, the higher meditation, then you will be able to perceive cause and effect in a very subtle way. And more clearly, you'll be able to perceive that in me doing this, I cause myself to suffer more. So then, when you get into the position where you find yourself habitually going on to doing that particular thing, you can know and recognize that even though I want to do this thing, I know this causes me to suffer more. And that is when we can step back and have the free will to practice mindfulness and detachment, to not do that which causes more suffering, and to do more of what causes our suffering to lessen. And this is a lesson. This is a lesson from Guru Padmasambhava that has kind of been our guide today for this session. And he says, as for the innermost advice, no matter what kind of disturbing emotion you feel, look into the emotion and it tracelessly subsides. The disturbing emotion is thus naturally freed. This is simple to practice. And this allows us to take our meditation beyond particular sessions or periods of time to meditation in all activities, meditation that goes beyond the notion of a self that's doing something. It's okay to not understand. We don't have to understand to see. We don't have to understand to hear. We don't have to understand to be kind. We don't have to understand to help. Okay, time to go and fold the laundry. Nice to sit nearby you. Yeah, bye bye. We can, according to thoughts, or we can just walk. We can see according to thoughts, or we can just see. We can hear according to thoughts, or we can just hear. And in just hearing, we don't need to think more about that. In just seeing, we don't need to think more about that. So this is a way of training. It doesn't have to taste good to be good. No iskan. But maybe one day I like to chant with them. Yeah, in nowadays, the main practice group is women. So there's not very many men practicing seriously or attending retreats or being donors, being supporters, and you'll see that at temples all over Asia. It's mostly women who attend retreats, who support the temples and the teachers. Okay, so we're going to take a brief intermission break, and then we're going to come back and try to practice meditation together and see what happens. All right? I'll give some guidance, and then we'll sit together for about 30 minutes. Okay. So go ahead and find a seat. Can be more or less comfortable, doesn't matter so much. Oh. Okay. And we're going to have a little bit of a fun here. Oh, there it was, and there it goes. All right, so welcome everybody to our group meditation practice, and we'll see what happens. Is this going to get us enlightenment or solve our problems? Maybe not, but they talk a lot about the meditation in spirituality and in Buddhism, so maybe we can try it out a little bit. So first things first, find a comfortable position for your body, and if you can, sit upright so your spine is kind of straight. So your back is straight and your head is up. Notice immediately that sense of silence and direct your attention to the breathing. Let meditation happen. Let the breathing happen. All of that energy of the thinking mind and moving around mind, allow that energy to just be a kind of recognition of what's already here that's not based in thought, such as the breathing, such as the sound of silence, such as not thinking about things, such as the body. Just follow the breathing. Let's begin our meditation practice. Don't give energy and attention to thoughts. Give energy and attention to the breathing. Just sitting here and just breathing. That's the practice. attention gets pulled into thoughts, just bring it back to the breathing and just sitting here. In that way, the kind of thought that you're having, what it's about, doesn't matter. Notice that you're involved in that thought and bring your attention back to the breathing. If it gets difficult, or if it gets very lovely and peaceful, don't take that too seriously. Just come back to the breathing. Come back to sitting. Come back to just being aware. Just ignore thoughts. Back to breathing. Back to alive stillness. Stretch, stretch. Stretch your willingness to come back to the breathing. To come back to just sitting in alive awareness. Don't indulge the thinking mind, but also don't fight with it. Don't interact with it. The only interaction is noticing and returning to breathing. Forgive and forget everything. Just breathing. Taking a deep breath, breathing in, knowing, breathing in, breathing out, knowing, breathing out. Just breathing in, just breathing out. Not trying, not struggling, not forcing, not controlling. No goal. Just breathing in. Just breathing out. Together with everything as it is. Don't give special importance or interest to any thought or to any physical experience in the body. Can be very special, can be very simple, can be very interesting or not interesting. Doesn't matter. Breathing in deeply, I know that I am breathing in deeply. Breathing out deeply. I know that I am breathing out deeply. Breathing in, just breathing in. Breathing out, just breathing out. Calming and relaxing the whole body and mind without effort, without control. Just noticing, just breathing, just returning. Okay, good job everyone. Comments are back on. You have a chance to share your experience and ask any questions if you have them. Share about how your meditation was, and if you have a question, you can ask it. Okay, so we'll finish here. Have a good rest of your day or night or whatever it is for you. Thank you for joining, and let's practice together again soon.